Nice. Yeah, everything looks great there. Alright, so now we've gone through cylinder heads, auto valve crank except for the last thing. So this is where I'm thinking it is, but I've had them, guys over at LZ's, checking valve spring pressure. Because it's one thing that I'm questioning. I just want to make sure that we have the right camshaft profile, the right valve spring package on it. Because if this was going to hurt anything, it would hurt in the areas of where it was at. Valve springs, rockers, valve fan related stuff. These are big stuff that's moving, okay? This is like 5 2JZ valves, okay? Alright, so that's a big unit right there, right? Even the exhaust side, it's just, just bigger stuff. Alright, so everything looks good there, but our next thing, valve springs. So, let's go over here, put all the valve springs on, let's go over here. And what we're going to do is, look at how this works. So this is the valve spring. Now this is using a valve spring container. Very nice, good. It's something. The valve spring go away there, right? If that was the case, we know we got one hand lifter. All the rest of them are mid. We got possibly got one valve spring. We'll see. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to test each individual valve spring. So these are the intake valve springs. The way they work on the engine, these are the exhaust springs, the way they work. So this is one intake, one exhaust. Two intake, two exhaust. Three intake, three exhaust. And so on. Alright? So, put the spring in there. Go ahead and hit record. What that's done is that has recorded all of our data, all of our information. So that's it. Installed height all the way down to open height at 891. Okay? And then we're going to, so let's put it, the red line right there is a small, just like that. Right? Now, let's do exhaust number 1. Alright, that's where that's at. Let's put the intake to that's there. So, we just ran all the way through here. Now in graph form, you can see where Alright, back. Computer crashed, but it still saved it. Adam LZ. Alright. So, you see here, everything is, that is one intake, one exhaust is right there. Two intake, two exhaust, three intake, three exhaust, four intake, four exhaust, five intake. So you can see the very light deviation. Now if we just come up here and we go to reports, you can see this whole thing. And let's do three intake. Let's do three intake. That's the one that I screwed up, I thought. Go back. Let's do three intake. Yeah, that's right. Sounds great. Alright, four. And record. There we go. Alright. And I'll do that over there. And record. Record. There we go. Alright, now here is each individual number. This is the spring rate. That is how many pound of force it moves into. So it starts here. What is that rate in between the two? Okay. So there's our open force. This is our, that's how our lift right there. Our seated force. Now this is what we're looking at to do a real quick reference. Set these things up at 365 to 360 on the seat. So now it is 356, 347, 57, 53, 59, 53, 45, 58, 50, 52, 46, 5, 54, 46, 54, 39, 59, 45. So all of those things there's only a spread, so the max.
We move, I drive. You help me customize and save with Liberty Mutual.
For over 30 years, PetSmart Charities has helped more than 11 million pets get adopted. And right now, for PetSmart Charities Adoption Week, we've partnered with Bill's Pet Nutrition to help get a pet near you loving home. PetSmart, anything for pets.
How I went from this to this in 6 months. I started using repurpose.io, and in 6 months, my business grew over 50%. It's a platform that automatically repurposes your content for you. So I create one post on Instagram, and repurpose automatically posts that on TikTok, Facebook, and LinkedIn. This has saved me so much time and energy. I know if you're overwhelmed or burnt out. Why would you only post on one platform when you can post on 10 at the same time without doing anything? Get more eyes on your business and live stress-free with repurpose.io. Sign up now for the 14-day free trial.
Mommy, who is that?
I don't know. How'd she get here?
The hatch. I got it from Tri-State Motorsports at the time. It was just at the time we were like doing like part outs and stuff. And yeah, that is a running car with a single cab. I ended up buying that, and that was when like the all-wheel drives and Hondas like just started to hear about it. That was like right after moving from CLM, the Green. So that was like right after that. I think this was like 2018 or 2019. I got the Civic because I heard about the all-wheel drive, and like everyone else, you hear about it, you want it. You want to do it, you want to experience it, see what it's like. So I ended up picking up the car, and I knew I wanted to do all-wheel drive, but I didn't want to follow what everyone was doing. So I was trying to think of like how can I do this all-wheel drive, but like kind of have my own little twist to it. So one of my buddies that I was with that night, Adam, he's DSM Eagle head also, and we were talking back and forth, and he just comes up with this random thought like, you should Eagle swap it, and I'm like, we're laughing, I'm like, yeah. And he was like, no, I'm serious, like, you should put like an Evo over in it or something. That's all-wheel drive, why not do that? Like Hondas, you love your Mitsubishis, put them together. Yeah. And, we're going back and forth, I'm still thinking, it's, full of it, like, whatever. And kind of blowing it off. It's just one of those thoughts that's like, I didn't know anyone that did it. The thought sounded crazy. It might not work. But, again, me being one that like is willing to try something new, I told him, I was like, you know what? I was like, I'll tell you what. This is when, like, at the time where, Evo parts were starting. be hard to find, it started going up in price. And I told him, I said, find me a swap, find me a full swap that is affordable, that I can, it can be realistic, and I'll do it. And sure enough, the next day he calls me up and says, yo, I got a guy in Connecticut, he's got a full swap, just came out of his 04 RS. I was like, all right, I'm here thinking that he's just toying with me. So I'm like waiting for him, like, all right, what is it, how much, what are we talking about? Told me a price is $3,700 for the full swap. Motor, transmission, transfer keys, shifter box, cables, axles, everything I pretty much needed. All the important stuff, wiring harness, and then I was lucky enough, the motor actually stock block, it had stuff in cans.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, I'm still thinking that he's like $3,700. That's, you can hardly find a loan block for that price at the time. So I said, all right, let me play along, see how far it'll go. Sure enough, he gave me an address, grab his engine once, grab my truck, I pick him up, and I take to the big warehouse where the guy had all these cars. Sure enough, it was legit, full swaps, the entire swap was $700. So now the thought became a reality, and now it's like I have the Civic on the lift, and I have an Evo swap. How am I going to make this work, and is this going to work? And little by little, so I started taking measurements. I started with measurements.
Okay.
Let's even see if this is doable. Let's see if this fits. If it does fit, what modifications or what changes do I need to make? So once I got over that, and I saw that it would fit. One thing just leads to another. First things first is let's get the engine or the swap perfectly level. Matching the car. Car's got to be completely level.
Okay.
The swap has got to be level.
Right.
So once everything is leveled out, I'm going to check position.
How are you leveling? Are you using lasers, or are you just like using an actual level, putting it inside the car?
In actual level.
Okay.
Good. And actually, I'm sure there's a lot better ways to do it now. But
Yeah, I'm sure.
at the time with my knowledge, based off of the equipment that I have, just the basic leveling out the car on the lift. Adjusting the arms to kind of get the height that we needed. So once the car was level, just checking the regular level. Same thing with the motor. The level right on the valve cover, it's flat. Checking the level of the complete swap. Once those are two on the level, next was positioning the transmission and the transfer keys to be in line with your hubs. Can't have it too far forward, so the axles aren't on an angle. Same thing, can't be too far back. You want to get it as perfectly straight as possible. And then you also have height. So now you're dealing with, it's got to be at a perfect height where the hood is in the clearance, but you got to have the clearance for the oil. Obviously, the motor was never intended to be in a Civic, so we have to compensate for everything: axles, hood clearance, oil clearance. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot of people that even out the minis. There's a lot of people that will just take it off the shelf on the kit, cut and roll some brackets, weld it on, slap it in, and think it's done. There's a lot more to it that goes into it. But anyway, going back to it, once I got everything exactly where I wanted, that's ultimately what I did. I took a key swap kit off of eBay. Because again, I didn't want to spend too much money not knowing if this thing was going to work. So it was like $200. I got a knockoff motor mount kit of the brackets, and I worked off of that. I primarily used the brackets because you just metal folded and that's it. So I used that as a base to start, and I just built it around that. I just sold wood mounts. So I used engine mount from the Evo. It was a torque solution, so aftermarket, but based off of the actual Evo mount itself.
For the motor side?
For the motor side, I used the Evo motor mount, and it happened to be the same width as what the K series uses for the engine side.
Oh, nice.
I just had to modify and move over the bracket itself on the frame rail just to align where I needed the engine to be.
Okay.
And then from there, like I said, it's like a puzzle. Started with the engine, got that side there. Went with the transmission. Now that the motor was perfectly level. And now the only thing left to do was just the rear motor mount. So there was a lot of, custom fab work to get it in there. But once I got the motor and the transmission in place, now it's like, all right, let's see what else is involved. The next big hurdle was the transfer case. So if you've ever seen an Evo transfer case, the tail section actually goes up and over the racking of the subframe, as opposed to like a typical Honda that's under the subframe and rack. So that right there, they collided with one another. So now it was either I ran like a either 4, 5, and 6 transfer case where the tail section is actually underneath, or I modified the whole steering and subframe to work like the Evo stuff. I was asking people what were their thoughts on it, like the Evo community between the Evo 4, 5, 6 transfer case and the Evo 8. And the Evo 8 was a better option. It's stronger, the 4, 5, and 6 transfer case is weaker. There's not as many parts readily available because everything is overseas. So it seemed like the Evo 8 was the best option, but it required a whole lot of fabrication.
Like the frame of the car? Or just notching the frame of the car?
Frame, rack, and the subframe itself. So the subframe, I took an FCS race to the subframe and modified it so the transfer case could clear. The rack and pinion had to get raised up. Now doing that changed the whole geometry of not only the tie rods but also the shaft going into the steering column. Also lifting it up. Now the boots were like just rubber against the Honda. So there's a lot of specifics that went into it, a lot of detail that people saw it. They never actually got to see what it entailed because it's already done. But there was a whole lot. Even now to today, like I still get people like, hey, can you make me a kit for the Civic to put an Evo motor? It's not as simple as like what I made it look like. There's a lot of custom modification onto the actual chassis that needs to happen, not just on the parts around it and built on.
So it's not something that it probably basically it'd be a headache in order for you to come up with just the mount the motor in there. It wouldn't hurt work because you have to use the motor to make it hurt.
Right. Yeah, and that was just the front end. I didn't split it off everything in the rear because again, those were rear differentials. I had to run everything off the Evo. The rear had to match the front, so everything on that car was even. People at the time wanted to see a rear wagon because of what they needed from the all-wheel drive engines. That wasn't the case. There was only rear differential as well. So the entire drivetrain on that car was all Evo.
So nothing was from Civic at all.
Just the chassis itself. Just the shell. And then, but I think it was like, that's when I got connected with,
How's everybody doing tonight? Working on this mower. I don't talk that much, I'm sorry.
So even though I did my own diff mount support, because I was running the 8 diff, I actually did it off the shelf trailing arms, like the old trailing arms that they were selling for the, K series or B series primarily. So I used the same trailing arms, same lower control arms, like all the stuff that they pretty much offer off the shelf for an all-wheel drive K series, let's say. I was running the same stuff on the suspension. It was just a physical drivetrain and engine
That was amazing.
off.
If anything broke or anything like that, you can just swap it over obviously too.
So that's where it became tricky. So luckily I got put on that drive shaft shop.
Okay.
And as you know, the number one for axles, drive shafts, you name it, like that's the way to go. Luckily I got connected with them. I told them what I was doing. They thought it was impressive and crazy at the same time. And I ended up running their custom axles specific for that setup. So Evo on one side, Honda on the other. So luckily, I've never, the entire 3-4 years that I've been in the car, I've never broken a drive shaft, I've never broken an axle.
Anybody got any questions on what I'm building? I don't know if anybody saw the video I put down on TikTok, but it's gonna be a theme build. it'll be kind of crazy, maybe kind of stupid, and people will be laughing, but it's a theme lawnmower. It's I was bored and decided I was going to build a not rudder lawnmower. So, I just did a real what do you want to call it? Just a sketch. It was on my freaking pad. To show kind of rendering what I want it to look like, but it's probably never gonna look nowhere near like that. Because I actually want to build I actually want to make the nose kind of pointy and everything, like the nose on the Night Rider. And a little backstory. The reason why I'm doing it, I used to tinker with cars and everything back in my 20s. I had like 5 cars. I had 4 of them being Trans Ams. Obviously, that's what I was building. And life got in the way, and money and all that, because building the actual Trans Am is not cheap. So, anyways, life got in the way and everything, and that was back in the early 2000s. And so I'm kind of semi-retired right now, ex-military, and just really bored. And I got, as if y'all saw any of the old videos, I got some trucks out there, and the lawnmowers just popped up. People was just basically just giving them to me. This one I'm actually working on right now. As in the past videos on YouTube, Shadow 13's Customs on YouTube, it shows that the wiring was crap, and that's gonna be the fun part. That's no joke about that one video I did, but my son's been having this idea about building a racing lawnmower, and when this thing had so much problems, I said, you know what, screw it. What worse is going to happen? You know, if it don't turn out, don't turn out. But it's just something to do. So I started chopping on it, and we lowered it, and we got that figured out. And now I'm just doing the metal. I can't think. I'm tired. I've been up for 24 hours. Been doing the metal work on it right now. After I got the suspension figured out, doing the metal work. It's gonna be part metal work, and part metal work, and obviously fiberglass. So the nose and everything's gonna be fiberglass. But anyways, y'all got any questions for me about it, or how stupid it is, or anything? Oh, hey Curtis. I didn't know you was in here. I got this thing set up weird here. How's it going, bud? I don't know if you're still in here or not, but appreciate you joining. I don't know where y'all live, but Alabama done lost its freaking mind. I know Curtis lives in Illinois, so he's probably freezing to death up there as well. But I don't know where this cold weather came from to be in October, but usually in October we're still in the 80s. I don't know where in the world it's coming from. So, but yeah, been working on this for a while. I also do gaming stuff just to fill the channel up. It deals with cars, and I try to do some building on that just to fill the channel up with videos. But if y'all would subscribe to my TikTok and go to my YouTube page. Like I said, it's Shadow 13's Customs on YouTube, and just check it out. I'm not begging or but that's not the word I want to use, but just trying to build that channel up. We've been working off hard to get it working on videos, getting it on there and everything. But the build for this is on there. It's between editing and everything like that, it does take a little longer to get them videos to go on there, because I ain't got them long. They're about 20-30 minutes long, so they are chopped up. But the build is on there now. When it started out, actually is a lawnmower. When I was trying to, I actually made some brackets because the mower deck was not connected on the front, and you can't find those brackets anymore. So I just made some brackets for that to work, and then, you know, like I said earlier, it was couldn't get to figure out. Plus, it was a little, I mean, it was a little 32 or 36 inch deck. I mean, that'd make me mad if I was mowing that thing, especially with the 4 acres I got. It'd make me mad. It'd take forever to mow with 36. So. Oh, that was Susan that was on. Okay. All right, I'm gonna get back cutting on this thing, and so what I'm doing right now. So obviously, with me lowering it, the battery was in the back. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to cut it and everything to get the battery to sit in there. So I'm thinking of cutting it in the middle because I'm gonna do a side shift. I'm gonna put a side shifter on it, so I ain't worried about the shifter being in the middle. But good note, I forgot which it was an old battery left over from an old lawnmower, but left my battery because I thought I could do a side mount. I was testing out that theory. You know, can't do a side mount. It leaked fluid all over the floor, the lawnmower, and everything like that. So that's a mess I got to clean up. But side note, don't do that. Again, I'm new at this stuff. As of 2 or 3 months ago, I never even messed with lawnmowers. I've had to learn everything from YouTube and everything like that just to figure out what I'm doing. But again, it's just for fun. It's just tinkering. It's a little project, you know, just to have something to do. So I'm gonna get cutting. Y'all enjoy the life.
So it definitely helped out. So as far as finding replacement parts, thankfully I never had to, but had I have broken, let's say, an axle or something, unfortunately that's been something out of you have to have the downtime of waiting for another one to be made because other people aren't doing it. It's not an off-the-shelf product. It's custom. You're setting them custom measurements and specifications. So like it's built to order. So unfortunately, if something did ever break, like that's the only that's the only part that would suck about like your custom made.
Is that the reason you got it? That's pretty cool.
this for ECU. Not just to last,
Yeah.
that's like where you gotta keep it. Anything more than that, you have to go 5-speed conversion.
Actually, one of my friends, Alan, he had an SE, but he wrote his transfer. I think it was transfer case winner. But I used to fanboy over Eagles. I used to look at them on the website because I graduated online, and I still vividly remember being on the internet, looking on the website, and they were still selling at a dealership. And that was one of the things I always like looked at. And people were like, "Oh, I'm gonna get the MR." Me, my broke ass thinking I'm gonna buy the car. Like, no, I'm gonna get the SE, bro. I'm like, it was just funny because it's like the things that I imagined I would have, and the things I was looking at. It's like, dude, I had no money. It's just funny because I did so much research on the car, and I never did anything with it because I couldn't afford it. So like, there's things I know about the Evo because of the research of me thinking I was just buying it.
And you know, and it's unfortunate because the MR, I mean, it always comes down to personal preference, but the MR, in my opinion, is like the best model in the seatbelt. Like, just everything it came with, you know, between the interior, the heater, the thing in the back of the seat. There was just so much your frame rails.
Oh, the frame, yeah.
Frame rails in
Right.
the back, they all rot out. That's the first thing. Any Evo I look at, that's the first thing I go to look.
Okay, anything else you look for?
As far as rot,
I know the
I
shock
mean,
towers, the big thing on that.
on the DSM, the 2G, the shock towers. These I've seen them rust, but not have like rot like the two, the second gen.
Yeah.
But these, that's the first thing I go. I look underneath in the back, and if that's good, then I start, looking at the cordings, the pinch welds, your typical. But if there's rot on the Evo, it's gonna be in the back. I don't know what it is about it there. I guess it's just the way it's, the structure is. It probably just keeps all the, all the salt and dirt and everything there. But it's the first thing that goes.
You know you lived long enough when the car came out, and you're like, and it starts to rust. Now that just like, for some reason I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I remember when this car came out, and we're already talking about rust in this car. It's crazy. Like, that's wild. For what you're paying, you're getting high mileage, right?
Now what is it?
Like, let's say if you wanted to get something at like 30,000 miles, because that's like $10,000.
Oh yeah, you can easily see it like every now and then. I forgot what the last one was, but like a lot of these, bring a trailer. They'll have these low miles. I think one, I forgot. I'm not even gonna say. I know it was over 100,000 miles. I had, I think, very, very low miles. I want to say it was a couple hundred miles.
Oh,
if not like 2,000 or 3,000. I know there's a couple of them recently in the past year that have sold crazy money with no mileage, of course, but you're talking 6-figure car in Evo.
Would you spend that kind of money on Evo? Knowing what they are, knowing how much you've had several, I'm sure. So like, would you spend that kind of money on Evo?
Honestly, if you got the money, if you got over $100,000 to spend on an Evo, I don't think that's gonna be your last dollar to your name. So I mean, if I had kind of crazy money and I was really wanting one that bad, I suppose so. I mean, me personally, I don't think they're worth that. And that's coming from someone who loved these cars since they, from the Fast and Furious since they came out. What I personally know, I think like for over $100 grand, I can invest my money into something better. Yeah. In my opinion, But I'm also speaking because like I'm not a fanatic for like a very low mileage car or like I don't really care about it. The way I look at it, like a car was meant to be driven and the mileage is going to go up.
Yeah, that's true.
It's going to happen.
That's true. Is there anything else you would look for in an Evo aside from that? What about the body of the car? Any rust happening there? What you should be concerned about?
Around us in the Northeast, you're going to get your typical surface rust, but I mean, a good cleaning and some undercoating, it'll clean it up. But me specifically, like I'm looking for rot because rot is just like a whole other level of like bodywork repair that I personally don't want to get into. Like, I'd rather me personally, I look for something clean. Yeah. Because the mechanical parts of it, like I'm doing it all myself. Right. Bodywork, not that I don't know how, I've done my fair share, learning from my father, but it's one thing that like, I give body people a lot of credit. I feel like a lot of people don't give them credit because they don't really see what happens behind the scenes. Body guys, I give them a lot of credit. There's a lot of time and dedication that goes into it, and a lot of intensive work, and I don't feel like they get paid enough for what they do because at the end of the day, like people want to spend as least as possible. Mm-hmm. No one wants to spend $10,000 on a paint job, or you can, but realistically, like nowadays, that's probably what it's going to cost to do it the right way. So now that's just paint work and minor body work. You start talking about rot, you're talking about cutting panels out, patching, welding, seam sealing. Like there's a whole other level to that. And so me specifically, I look for something that could be as clean as possible to avoid me having to send it off to the body shop and get it work done and paperwork. I don't want to do that. I'd rather spend extra money to get something clean and just worry about the mechanical part.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's preference. There are other people that I know that would rather have a perfectly sound engine and they'll do the body work. It all depends, I guess, on what connections you have or what time.
Yeah. This guy, shout out to Kino. I got Kino. He has a record. Actually, at the French shop, there was a record. People was there. There, and then he has a watched that car towards the end of it, like, and just bringing it back to life. It's a clean Evo, but like, it's the and it seems like people, when they, with the Evos, it seems like when they get into that thing, they restore them, everything's clean, they sell it.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
But like, just keep the car, man. Just keep the car after all that work. Just keep it. It doesn't even make any sense.
Big Evo that probably just quite 10 to 11 Evo now, but
Damn, 10 or 11?
yeah.
Oh, I think you're like 4.
Nope.
Shit.
So
Oh, so you sold a bunch of them.
I love it. Yeah, like I said, I don't keep stuff for like too long. You know, I either get tired of it, bored, or I want something different. I'll switch it up. But from the last Evo that I had, even before the blue one, I took a little break from the Evos just because I had sold the last one, and then when I wanted another one, I just couldn't touch it. Like the prices were just insane. Like I couldn't. At some point, I couldn't afford what people wanted.
Yeah.
But then the other part of it is like, I can't see myself spending this kind of money for this car that I've already owned and know what I paid for. And
Right.
It was like an inner thing. Like I can't justify myself spending that kind of money on an Evo, And as much as I love them, like I said, the Evo was my dream car.
Right.
From a Too Fast, Too Furious movie dropped with the the Evo 7, like that was my dream car. I had to have it.
Yeah.
And even now till today, I mean, these cars are, they're pushing some age. And even now, like I look at them and I still appreciate the car and I love Evos. I don't. It's one of those cars that I don't think I really get over, no matter how old they are. Like to me, they still have that modern, aggressive look.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's just something about them. Even with the cars today on the street or even at the track. Like, these things are nostalgic, like they're still keeping up. Time has passed, but they're still out there doing their thing.
Absolutely.
A perfect example, like the Wraith. Wraith has got real fast on the floor.
RRT, right?
RRT Motorsports, yeah. Yep, and he's been a big inspiration too. Like when I did the Evo Civic, he was the one that came on board once I got it going. Figured out and I got the car running.
Yeah.
He was the one and only person that I went to get everything done. He's done engines, he's done, but I had engines, transmissions, all for the Evo Civic. Tuning, like he was the first one that touched that car. So he's definitely played a big role in on the Bishi and the Civic.
That's pretty cool.
He played a big part in that car into becoming what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the love for the Evos is just, they'll never go away. And every time I watch him come out to an event, whether it's a testing tune or an event, he just gets impressive every time.
Yeah. That's cool though, man. You gotta have those guys who are still putting on. Were you ever a fan of I'm sure you were a fan of Devin?
Yes, from Boosted Performance.
Yeah. Was that like
if you're in the Mitsubishi community and you don't know Devin,
yeah.
You can't call yourself Randy.
I'm sure he broke a lot of cars in that thing too.
Yeah, there's a lot of records.
A lot of records. But that was I'm sure like if you're into Evos, like you said.
Everyone looks up to him in that car.
Yeah.
If you're into the Mitsubishi community, and to be honest with you, especially now, the Mitsubishi community it's not that big. It's not that big. Like any guys that are out there, like everyone in the Mitsubishi community knows about it. And of course, like Devin's like, there's just no doubt about it. Like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like he's got that thing working for him, and it's proven it's time after time. It's still going around.
Alright guys, so we're releasing our first ever manga inspired merch drop. We have the GTR, BMW, Mustang, F-150, Street Alpha Worldwide, and the Master Mechanic inspired manga. We also have our podcast set merch on the site if you guys want to support the brand and other accessories as well. Make sure to head over to streetalpha.com or click down below in the description to get your merch today. So you had a neon, SRT Ford. This is years ago you had the neon on the Civic, right?
My very first neon was, I believe, in 2009, right before my very first Evo.
Okay.
So I had one back then, and then I had another one, which is the white one that you probably see on the drive, K-Swap, whatever. So those were the two that I personally owned. But the one back in 09, I didn't do anything crazy to it, just typical bolt-ons.
Okay. Now, with that car, that was another car. It was a cheap option for me to kind of get into turbo, right? What do you think it was about that car that just didn't work? Or
That didn't work?
I don't want to say it didn't work. Actually, there was people racing the SRT4s back in the day.
Yeah.
But it just kind of died out. Like, why do you think that platform died out? And I'm saying this because you put a K series in it. So it's like if the motor in there was working pretty good, then you probably would have kept it.
Right. I mean, they were cool cars. I mean, to me, what attracted me and what turned me into the SRT4s was honestly, like, probably many other people, the sound.
Yeah.
That very unique, distinctive sound with the little pops and wobbles that it did. And they were cool cars. Like, to me, they were like kind of like a sleeper out of the factory. Like, it looked like your regular neon, but the high-rise spoiler kind of gave it away a little bit in the front now. But at the end of the day, it's still a neon. To me, it was pretty cool. But they only made them for like 3 years, and honestly, I think the platform, Bradley is still doing his thing, so I can't say it's completely dead. There's a couple other guys. Like, there's one guy, I believe his name is Matt, out of Canada. Okay. He's like the second world's fastest with the SRT4. So there are people still pushing it, but it's kind of, he's like the second world's fastest with the SRT4. So there are people still pushing it, but it's kind of, falling off compared to what it was. And I think it's mainly because companies and manufacturers stopped investing the time and the R&D into that platform because it was already a dying platform to begin with. Like they were cool in the beginning, but over the years, it started kind of phasing out. And, as a business, you're going to go with what's selling, what's working, and what people are interested in. No one's going to take, I'm not going to say no one because I typically Cougars did say it, but from a business perspective, in my opinion, it just doesn't justify your time and money to invest into something that's not positive.
Right. What were the years for that?
03 to 05. It was 2003, 2004, 2005. I think 03 to 05 was the 3 years that they produced the SRT4.
They probably saw something, or maybe they had some issues, like you said, like you were saying.
I know, like the biggest issue that I had with that car was third gear. If you want to do SRT4, the third gear it was always an issue. That, and I know something that a lot of people complained about was the torque steering. They made more torque than horsepower, and those things were kind of all over the road.
What about how difficult it was to work on? Like, I feel like everything was kind of tight,
It was unique. I remember having to change a clutch out on mine, and it was not unique. I remember having to change a clutch out on mine, and it was not like your ordinary Honda clutch swap or nothing like that. It was definitely different, coming from like working on Japanese cars to now going American and trying to work on it.
That's true. I used, and it was like an easy way to get into turbo without me having to buy a single cam or buy a Honda and then go turbo swap. It was just too much. I'd rather get something from the factory or turbo traction.
No, they were cool cars.
But you ended up putting the K series in there?
I did, yeah. So I actually had a guy come to me, which ended up turning into a personal friend, Tom. He owns HDR in Jersey, so he works on SRT4s. So he dedicates his time into.
Oh wow.
Yep. That's all he does is work on, builds the motors, transmissions, the cars.
Even now?
Even now, like right now as we speak, he's still.
So people are still building those?
Yep. So it's not completely, a dead, car, but
wow.
They're just not as, talked about as like, the Hondas or, other imports. But yeah, there are people still building them, more for street. But he came to me and he said that, he was looking into doing like a K-swap SRT4. Have I ever looked into it? Because if anyone that's been following me for, the last at least 5 years, let's just say, right, knows that like I would take a swap and put it in a random car. Like I've done crazy swaps and builds, so like.
Less than 40 cents for this delicious Eggo taste. You read that right.
My Bosch dishwasher's expert drying makes me feel
I was known for being able to, do something like that. So he came to me, he told me his idea, he wanted to put a K-swap in an SRT4 just because of, its reputation, reliability, he keeps popping, the motor. So he came to me with the idea and said, can I do something with it? And I told him, yeah, I can look into it, but I'm gonna need a chassis. I can't just come up with a mount kit or anything without actually having a physical car. It just so happens to be that he had a white SRT4 shell laying in his lot, and he told me, just let me know when and where, I'll drop the car off, and let me know when it's done. So sure enough, we worked it out, we coordinated it, he dropped off the car, and I designed a mount kit for it, and I started later on producing them.
Nice.
So I sell now the K-Swap SRT4 kits. But yeah, and then we ended up working something out. So basically, that car, he gave me that car at the show in return of me making him a kit. So he wanted the kit in exchange for the show. To me, it was a good deal.
Yeah, that works, yeah.
I liked the SRT4, and I felt like he got me already into something that I already started with the K-Swap. So I was like, maybe I'll just end up building it up. As a chassis to me. So that's what ended up happening. I ended up taking that shell. I ended up making another kit, but because I'm never satisfied with what's already out there, I had to switch it up a little bit, and I made it all-wheel drive. So I ended up doing an all-wheel drive conversion. That was a ton of work. I'm never doing another one again.
Really?
Nope, never do another one.
Was it just as bad as Civic? Like the 14 the Civic?
No, probably worse.
Oh, it's worse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Same aspect in the front, same thing. The rack had to be raised, the subframe had to be modified. Tonneau had plenty of clearance, but it was the rear end. So the SRT4s, if you're, for those that are familiar with it, the SRT4 doesn't have a typical subframe in the rear and control arms like your, typical Honda or Evo. It's like I don't even know what term they call that from the factory, but the subframe is basically attached to the spare tire well, and then there's just 4 links that attach to the trailing arm, and then there's a hub attached to the coilover suspension.
Oh, wow.
They probably have a term for that type of suspension it uses that I don't know off the top of my head, but it was very weird. So that rear end is what fought me a lot. I made a lot of revisions. And even now, currently, I still own the car, and even now, that rear suspension, still needs work. It's not 100%. So it's something that I'm gonna get to at a later date. But anyway, I ended up putting the car together, K-Swap, all-wheel drive. Got it on the dyno. I think it made, I think it was exactly 960 wheel on the K20.
That's solid, man.
Gen 2 turbo, not even the next gen.
Yeah.
Simple off-the-shelf parts. But yeah, I never got to race it down the track. Not even nothing.
Okay.
The car never really hit the road, and it was unfortunately, we'll get into it. But once I crashed the Civic, I ended up parting out that car to fund Honda Reach V2 to rebuild another Evo Swap Civic. So that's kind of where that got put on hold. But like I said, I still own the chassis. I still kept a lot of parts of the axles. I still have the drive shaft, the mount kit, a lot of the specific parts that made the all-wheel drive SRT4. I still kept for a later time. I just sold off all the bigger parts, the turbo, the wagon rear, engine, transmission, all that stuff.
Do you think that the new S1 rear diff would be an option for that, maybe?
Oh yeah.
I think that probably be more.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it changes much how you mount it, but.
No, because like I said, that billet front cover that they're making will bolt right to the diff mount that I made. So at worst, all I have to change is just the front bar that runs across the frame rails to bolt to the rear. That will probably be the only change that I have to make. But to be honest, when I do come out with that car again, which will be in the future, I will put a wagon diff only because of the fact that everything is already made for the wagon. The axle, the drive shaft. I don't want to have to redo all that just to put in that diff when it's already been done.
Right.
You know, but if I'm starting from scratch, like if I have a new build that I'm gonna all-wheel drive, that's obviously gonna be the go-to route that I'm gonna take if it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that, man. I want to see. I don't really get to see too many SRT4s, but it's cool when you do see them. It's like, damn, it's kind of nostalgic.
Yeah.
You see them come back.
And I'm not shooting for anything crazy. I'm not saying I'm gonna try to go for new records. Honestly, it's just I love and enjoy doing something different, something out of the ordinary, and just having fun with it.
Is that, would you make it would it be streetcar, right? Or you would know?
I would like it to be, regardless of the accident, I still love a street car. Yeah, I'll take a street car with a nice build over a drag car any day. And that was one of my biggest regrets with my last Eagle, the blue one.
Yeah.
Was just going all out drag car. I stopped enjoying it. I did not enjoy it any longer. It was a dedicated trailer crew, dedicated track car. Couldn't take it out on the street. Too many parts that were just so expensive to risk taking it out on the street. Just didn't make it worth it. So I still love the street. Not particular street racing, but as you know, being able to hop in and just take it down the road.
Yeah.
Or taking it to an event or a car show. That to me, I truly enjoy. So the SRT4, I would like to say I would like to make it a street car, but a lot of people would say otherwise because it's got Lexan windows and a 6-point cage, so it's not your typical street car.
Right.
Yeah, I would like to take it out on the street, enjoy it, and then take it to the track to see what it runs. Just like the Mini. The Mini, there's a full street car that I built, full interior, still got everything, leather seats, carpet, like you name it, everything's still there, back seats. But I took it to the track just to see what it could do because it's something that I've always been curious, and a lot of my customers and supporters have been curious. Like, all right, you make all this power, it's cool, but what does it do?
Yeah.
Does it perform? And anyone could put an engine in and take it down the street and have fun. But, people want to see what you can do with it, how it can perform, and what limits you can run with it. Those are questions that I never had for people.
Yeah.
A lot of people buy my kit, so it's like, how much information can I possibly give if I don't actually test it out and push it to its limits?
That's true.
And that's what people want. You can't advertise a car if you've never even tested it out for yourself to see what it can do. Yeah, there's only so much you're going to sell of it.
Right.
So.
Now, with this, is it the world's first? Or this has been done before?
K-swap?
Yes. Are
So
you the
I'm-
first one to do a K-swap?
I'm not.
Okay.
So right before I did it, there was someone that did a K24 swap, Mini Cooper, same chassis, first gen. And that's kind of, in a way, what inspired me to do it.
Okay.
Because I know it's been done.
Right.
But that very first one that I did, I was the first to do it with an all-wheel drive. So the first one that I built was a K-Series all-wheel drive. So again, I wasn't the first, I was only just the first to do it all-wheel drive.
Which I'm sure is probably for this kind of car, it's beneficial. Right?
I personally think it's beneficial for any car.
Yeah.
Especially like a street car, just having the ability to, have that traction that I always notice and just take off without worrying about wheel spin. Like I spoke earlier, like that. To me, that perfect happy medium of a street car, front-wheel drive, 450, 500. With the all-wheel drive, now that changes.
Yeah.
You no longer need to limit yourself to that power because of traction issues.
Right. What's the limitations on that?
With this car?
Yeah, like all-wheel drive.
So this car, these Mini Coopers in general, they're heavier in a stock form or stock trim. They're much heavier than like your EG hatch, let's just say.
Okay.
By a couple hundred pounds, not too much, but a couple hundred pounds. So I believe like these first gen Mini Coopers, I don't know the models, but like this one, R53 comes supercharged. I think they're like roughly around like 2,700 pounds, 2,800 pounds. So it's it's heavier than an EG when you're comparing it, but it's still light for what it is.
Right.
And, if you know BMW, they don't like cheap out on parts and they overbuild and very heavy. Like just each seat in the front is like about 50. I think like last time I weighed it was like 53 pounds for one seat in the front.
Damn.
So they're heavy cars.
Yeah.
Out of the box without doing anything to it. But so will help with the traction. more weight you take out of the car, the less traction you're gonna have.
Right.
That's why a lot of these old it's a lot more. No debate about that.
Well, why are they criticizing?
Just because someone might say, oh, 800 horsepower, I put that down, you know.
Uh,
There's always going to be someone just saying something about, like, you know, trying to argue what I'm trying to say. But the reality is, you know, after a certain amount of horsepower, if you've been around cars with some horsepower, you know traction is going to become an issue.
yeah, especially on a car like this, too, that weighs 2,700 pounds. 100%.
Yeah.
Now, what was it about the Mini Cooper that made you want to put a case in?
So, there's no debate about that either. They're just built
What
poorly.
companies?
So this comes with a W11. It's a motor. It's not even made by BMW. It's either made in original or some other manufacturer. I don't even know, but it's just poor design. They had a ton of issues, and so he ended up buying one low. I forgot the specifics, but it wasn't right. He ended up taking it apart, rebuilding it, fixing it, and right before the car was done, he ended up going to register the car because he was going to finish it that weekend. It was a Friday. The all-wheel drive kits, that's a whole other thing. someone that is interested in doing it, I have the resources and I can share the information.
Yeah, you have a video up on YouTube as
Yeah,
well.
the information's out
Full on breakdown.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the whole kit and everything.
Right, yeah, for front-wheel drive applications. So I ended up making that video to help people out that have maybe don't have any experience.
Yeah.
They could watch that video, buy my kit, and literally bolt it on. So for front-wheel drive applications, it's a bolt-on kit. There's no welding involved, no cutting. It's just a bolt-on kit, and I basically walk you through the whole installation process. And you know, that definitely, I've even had, you know, a ton of people message me and tell me, like, they have this Mini Cooper sitting in their backyard that has been blown up and haven't done anything. Like, you know, good thing I came up with something, you know, different, because now they can bring that Mini back to life and it doesn't have to sit and, you know, end up in a junkyard.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And at the end of the day, like, people like something different. You know, right? The all-wheel drives of Civics are cool. I still do them, or even a Civic in general. But it comes to a point where it's like, it becomes so repetitive, you want to see something different. You know, I've been able to offer that to people. You know, I even have Honda boys now, like people that had Civics, parted it out to take all their stuff to buy it, and just to be different.
It's a cool swap, and I think it's very fitting for the car.
It is.
And you get a better interior.
So you definitely get a lot more luxury and comfort.
A luxury comfort with the Mini, yeah. So what is this car making right now at its
So this car right now makes over 800 wheel.
Okay.
And our limiting factor is the block. Even though it is built and it is piston and rod motor, cams, you know, everything, it's still on a stock sleeve. So no CSS, no nothing, literally just stock open deck sleeves.
Okay.
So that's our limiting factor.
Do you guys do like the, I know what the 4Gs you guys you fill the blocks?
Like the,
Like cement fill, or is that thing you guys do?
I've seen some people like the epoxy fill, cement fill, but honestly, for like the time and money on the KC, you have companies that approve, and those guys with 1,000 horsepower, just the CSS block, which ultimately is still stock speed.
Yeah. What's going to make the decision? Like, what are you basing that decision on?
That's going to go back to your goals. So I personally, again, it's a personal preference. I love the T24. I wear the T24. It's just this is a manifold but not clear, a 2-flow without, even denting, cutting. I didn't.
Now, I mean, obviously displacement helps, but do you see that people are making more on K24s and K20s?
I want to say it's both. There's no doubt that the K24 is make the power a lot easier than the K20. But the so it's not like the Yeah, I mean, they don't flow as good. I mean, when you're comparing, it depends what you're comparing it to.
Right.
You compare it to the K series,
That's what I mean.
it outflows it like not even close. You know what I mean? Like it's night and day. Like, you don't need to really break it down to see the flow charts to see the difference. The K series, I mean, it's just a free cylinder head that they go right out of the box. The K series head just flows. I mean, there's like look at Faraday. You specifically said it on your podcast, and I've seen it. It's true. Stock port over 1,500 wheels.
That's
On the dyno. It's maybe more now, but
that's insane.
from what everyone can physically see, the dyno in the stock port head over 1,500 wheels. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of unheard of in other platforms. You know, like even my Evo, the previous Evo, that was a 4-piston ported head. You know, after a certain point, like you have to.
Yeah.
You have to look at it.
Comparing the two, K series to 4G, would you be running more boost on a 4G?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
absolutely. And that's where the head really shines and shows in the flow. Like these K series, like let me start with the Evo. The Evo, my blue ones, we made 1322 S2Fs, dyno.
Wait, how much?
1322 wheel.
Damn, we gotta talk about that. How much after that?
Now we stopped there. I was in the car. I mean, the car, the 25.5 is fitted specifically for me.
Yeah.
Yoso was too tall. He's not fitting in it. So I was running the car on the dyno, and we stopped there just because it started getting, a little sketchy with that power. So we called it there. We could have, made more power on the dyno, but nowadays, like dyno numbers, everyone knows. It's just for the numbers.
Yeah.
It's just for the cloud.
Exactly.
And I like it too. I'm not here, knocking anyone else that does it for cloud. But, dyno numbers nowadays, like no one really cares so much about that. It's like you get a baseline, you go to the track, that's it. That's the number that matters.
Yeah.
The horsepower on the dyno don't mean nothing. But anyway, that car made 1322, and that was on 60. I think that was on like 66 pounds of boost, 67 pounds of boost. Still more room for more.
Okay.
But again, you're talking over 60 pounds of boost. These Hondas will make 1,300 horsepower on, I'm not going to say half, but a little more than half. Like you're talking 40-something pounds of boost, you're making that same power. So that's where you really, when you're comparing the two platforms, that's where like you really see the difference in the way the two engines flow.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not taking away from the Evo. I mean, they make power and it's proven.
Right.
But, there are those big differences.
Yeah. Frank had said boost is a measure of restriction, and I mean it's if you're thinking in a very simple way, it does make sense.
It does.
But it doesn't mean that the motor is no good. It's just
Correct.
to kind of compensate for that restriction. Now, You said you made 1322?
1322.
Right. Now, one of the things with the Evos is the head lifting, right? At that kind of power, or if you're, especially at 60 pound boost.
It's a lot, yeah.
Right, so how are you keeping the head down?
So on my specific build, I don't know if there's anything else now other than obviously going into the half-inch head stud, crossing over into that. But I personally ran the ARP 625 head studs, so they're level above your L19s.
I think L19s were like half-inch studs, no?
No, not all. So they'll make your L19s, like even for the Hondas, like this one, it threads right into the K-Series factory casting. Evo, same thing, they'll make it where it threads right into the factory. So at that power level on my Evo, I was still on your, OEM, I don't know if it's 12 millimeter, I think it's 12 millimeter head stud, but I was still on your OEM spec, threads on the block, and it was oversized, and you half-inch. We were on that boundary.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I never lifted a head or popped the gasket on that. And again, it all comes down to one, your builder, two, your tuner. I will always say that. Those are your two biggest factors in keeping your thing together, is the builder and the tuner.
Did you fill that block?
That was a 3/4 foot block by Ray.
And then what about rings? You
Copper blocks, there too. And that one, a lot of people know as like copper O-rings.
Yeah.
O-ring in your head or your block. That one was actually stainless steel.
Stainless steel.
So, yeah.
So you had
steel O-rings. So it's like a one-time, so to speak. I mean, I probably pulled that head off, during like rebuilds and stuff. I used those stainless steel O-rings probably like, I want to say 3 times.
They say that with the stainless steel you get a better bite on the head gasket. Is that true?
Yeah.
Customize and save with Liberty Mutual!
Native body wash is only made with 9 ingredients versus 23. Yeah, by Native.
Looking for an easy way to grow your following? Introducing Repurpose.io. Struggling to increase your followers? Let Repurpose.io work its magic. With a single click, your reach expands across all platforms, making sure your content gets noticed. And with Repurpose.io, you can boost visibility and engagement on all platforms, all with zero ads. Start your 14-day free trial at Repurpose.io. Lemonade Lifestyle Community. Install and go.
I don't know the very specifics into that engineering, but I do know that it's proven that the stainless steel does, work a lot better. They're better sealed.
Right.
Than, and they're also thicker. I don't know if it's specifically. I've only ever seen and dealt with stainless steel on my phone, so I don't know engines or manufacturers use different sizing, but I know in comparison, like the copper O-rings is thinner than the stainless steel.
Are they reusable though? Once you go to the head,
The stainless steel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are reusable?
I've used mine like 3 times. Like the 3 times that I've had that motor apart, for rebuilding purposes, I've never touched
it. Yeah, because the copper uses
to get crushed,
and then you can't really have to, redo it.
Right.
But the head gasket, we're using a composite head gasket, or that's OEM.
Oh yeah.
There's something you got, some up your sleeve, bro.
Nothing.
How do you get that kind of power and not having no head gasket issues?
That's the thing. The K-Series, same thing. The OEM head gaskets just seem to work. Same thing. The two similarities between these two platforms that I say, like the Honda and the Evo, that I've seen is the cranks, the OEM cranks.
Okay.
And they just, to me, from my own experience, I mean, there's so many people testing different things, but OEM crank, OEM head gasket, in my opinion, is the way to go for a lot of these builds. And again, 1322 on an OEM crank and an OEM head gasket and OEM cast block, just filled. But yeah, I'm not the only one. It's not like I just so happen to be the lucky one. I actually got shit luck. But there's a ton of people that, are proving that the stock is still cast is fast, like Frustrate says.
Yeah.
Cast is fast. There's still plenty of people in the cast motor really fast. And, you know, it just seems to work. The OEM crank just seems to work. You know, they got bigger cranks. At the end of the day, the power levels that we're shooting these motors at, something's eventually going to go. There's always a weak link and a weak part that's going to let go, but they seem to be holding up pretty well for OEM parts, which is super crazy to think.
What are the usually common issues at that power?
I mean, I remember hearing that more back in the day, like the DSM, my DSM days and early Evo days, you would hear about a lot about head lift and all that, people blowing head gaskets. In my opinion, it's like, one, either an assembly issue.
Okay, maybe not like retorquing? Or...
Yeah, like even like down to the very basics, like, you know, someone will assemble an engine and not clean out the ports where the head studs, you know, weld right into. So any engine builder will tell you, if they're not clean, let's say there's some oil trapped in there, you'll get a false reading when you're torquing it down the spec. And now it becomes loose. And then once the engine heats up, now you got parts expanding.
Yeah.
It's just going to become looser. That's why even a lot of, if you actually read the instructions on a lot of, like, let's say the head studs, they'll tell you during installation, once you torque it down, they want like a few heat cycles and then have you go and retorque it because of stuff expanding. Those head studs will get loose. So a lot of the times, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of the times I'm going to say it's either A, an installation error, or two, the tune. The tune will play a big factor in popping gaskets too. Too much timing.
I was going to say too much timing. Do you know where these motors live at usually, like timing wise, how much time you can run on them?
I don't. The 4Gs, I don't. I don't get too technical into the tuning. That's just something that's like, you know, I'll admit it's just out of my league. I'm never going to say never, but, you know, as of right now, I have a good support. You know, so he looks out, he tunes all my cars, and you know, that's his lane. I let him do his thing. I do everything I can on my end, and then the tuning, I'll let him finish it off.
Yeah, you stay in your lane.
You know, I've never, all the cars that I've brought to him, whether it be Supras, Evos, Hondas, I brought him many different cars, different motors. I've never had one let go, pop, or nothing. The only catastrophic that I ever had was blowing coolant, you know, through the head gasket, and it was more so my fault because I was pushing too much boost for the type of ARP head studs that I was running. And again, I still started the car and put it in the trailer.
Was you at 2000s?
I had the basic off-the-shelf ARP head studs trying to run almost 30 pounds of boost. You know, it's just one of those things that, like I said, you don't really set out a goal to get what, you know, you need for your build. But that was the only incident I ever had, and that was unfortunate when that Blue Betty Cooper, the first one that I built.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On the cases?
I'll send you a video, yeah, right on the dyno, just cooling all over. And again, it's from, you know, the head studs, they're just not rated for what I was trying to do with it.
So if I had a 4G, and I took it to you to build it, you're telling me, and I said, hey, I got unlimited budget with this 4G 63 right now. Build it to spec. Telling me I can go in the dyno and make 1,300 horsepower, and I have any head gasket issues.
I mean, anything is possible. I can't make a promise that I can't keep, but I know from my own experience, I've built many 1,000 horsepower plus motors, and I've never had a head gasket failure.
I mean, I know I'm stressing the head gasket thing. I'm just saying that's just what I've heard.
Yeah.
I don't know. There could be other people's problems out there. You know, they're more focused on.
Yeah. Everyone's gonna have their own experience.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's not like a specific answer to why, you know, everyone is having the same issue.
Right.
Many factors that play into it.
I didn't ask you about the transmission in this. What's the transmission setup in this car?
So this transmission is CRV, like everyone uses on the K series.
Okay.
It's a CRV, but it does have PPG, like a full PPG kit, including the transfer case. The only difference, so it's got straight cut gears through PPG, but this one is actually synchronized transmission. So PPG will make their dog box, which is just full blown out race car stuff, and then they have the PPG Synchro gear set, which is what I run. Because like I said, when I built this car, I knew I wanted to keep it primarily on the street.
Yeah.
You know, and I drive it on the street. So having the synchros, it just makes it for a lot more comfort on the street.
It's
not
gears, it's not
shifting. It's not notchy. You don't feel like you're damaging the gear, and you know it's much smoother for your street car. And, you know the advantage is you can obviously it can handle a lot of power.
What are they rated to?
I don't know the specific rating because I personally always run the dog box. It just so happens for the street car I wanted to do the synchro. I mean, I know of people that are making 1,000 wheel on the PPG synchro, so they do still handle 40 digits. I don't know how much further than that or for how long, and I don't think I'll ever find out. But I know with the synchro they hold a good amount of power.
So what do they go for price-wise for PPG, that transmission?
I think right now, Drag Cartel I think has like the best pricing on them. They're running a sale right now. I think the PPG Synchro is about $5,100 for a 1 through 4 gear set. Not cheap.
No, it's pricey.
You know, it's not cheap, but you know the way I look at it is like, you know, how many you're gonna buy a stock Honda CR-V transmission. It'll cost you about $1,000, $1,100, $900, depending on the mileage. That's about the range right now. With stock transfer keys, it's only gonna hold so much power. And how many times are you gonna be swapping out that transmission before you finally, you know, consider let me put a gear set that's gonna handle more power? You know, like let's just say you do 3 transmissions. That's already $3,000. A little bit more you could have now invested into a proper gear set that's gonna hold. And again, even those parts, they still break. PPG still breaks, but obviously not compared to like, you know, a stock K-Series gear set.
The gear set. Is there other options as opposed to the PPG, like cheaper options maybe?
There is. So the most popular that I've seen is a company called GearX.
Okay.
GearX makes gear sets, and they've made a couple of revisions since they first came out, and a lot of people swear by it now. They're more affordable. I don't remember last time I saw it. I think like a full gear set, I want to say it was like I think high 2s, low $3,000. So one of their gear sets, so more budget and friendly for your average, you know, person. And I've heard that they handle a lot more power and they're better than when they first came out. So that's, you know, more of a budget friendly option for people as the GearX gear set. Even turbo cars are running it.
Yeah.
I think they even have, I could be wrong, don't quote me, but I believe they even have their own, like, you know, turbo gear ratio, you know, gear set.
Yeah, I'm probably
their own, like, you know, turbo gear ratio, you know, gear set.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna. So let's probably gonna. So let's talk about some of the races that you've had in the past. We didn't really. That's what happened. You may not have to go into full detail. I'm sure whatever you discuss.
Oh, sorry, Courtney. I'm doing good today. How are you? I was doing some research. So what's going on is obviously me lowering the lawnmower. I had to flip the back axle. And now, since it don't shift from the top anymore, I don't know if y'all can see it or not, that's technically the way it sits in the lawnmower with the spindle up. Well, now it's upside down and it shifts from the bottom now. And I don't want to use the middle shifter, obviously. I want to do a side shift. So, that's what I'm doing. That's the reason why it's kind of boring right now. I was doing some cutting earlier and everything, but yeah, I'm just looking on there to really just reteach myself again. I'm new to this, so I'm just learning as I go. So I'm just again trying to figure out how to mock it up as a side shift. It would be easy if I was going to put the shifter right there where the axle is. With that little back rod right there in the back, that's a shifter. But obviously I need to bring it up to where the seat's going to be, up to the side of this a little bit. So again, just a little bit figuring. No, I don't know if it paused on y'all or not, but I live out in the sticks and we even have decent internet and it still wants to act up from time to time. I didn't get kicked off once. But I was just saying how everybody's doing. It's in here. I do appreciate who's in here, and just seeing how y'all doing. Y'all, I'm assuming night owls like me. I work night shift, and I come out here and tinker at night. Look, like I said, luckily I live out in the country, because with me doing all this cutting, I'm sure I wouldn't have happy neighbors. I don't know how TikTok feels about vaping on the thing. I ain't done that many lives. I've done a few here and there, but again, in the country and internet, not happy out here. Any of y'all tinker with lawnmowers or anything? I could use all the advice I can get. Again, thanks everyone who's on here. I see a few extra. Like I was saying earlier in the live, I'm from Alabama, and it's usually by this time of year at least in the 70s, maybe sometimes 80s. I don't know where this cold weather came from. It's been cold at night for the last week, or 2 weeks actually. As y'all can tell, this shop is not insulated. I'm going to have to figure out something for this winter. Or I may have to just chill till it gets warmer. If it's going to be this cold the rest of the year, So like I was saying before, I don't know how long y'all been in here or not. Again, I'm sorry, rubbing my nose, it's cold. It's gonna be a racing mower chassis, okay? I don't want to just go slow, but it's gonna be a themed lawnmower. Like I said before, y'all can laugh or whatever, but it's gonna be a themed lawnmower. I'm gonna basically build a night rider lawnmower, just because. Just out of boredom and just something to do. I used to have a bunch of Trans Ams back in my 20s and back in the early 2000s, and obviously life got in the way and had to give that up, but I decided to like I said, just out of boredom. We was fixing this lawnmower up. It turned out to be, wasn't gonna be that good of a lawnmower, like the actual cutting lawnmower, but my son came up with the idea of making a racing lawnmower out of it, and I just took it a step further and said, we'll just make it a themed lawnmower. I got another one over there sitting right there. I've already got an idea for it. It's got a pretty good engine in it. I don't know if it runs. But we'll see. But if it don't, it don't. Like I said, it's just something to do. But I'm gonna get back studying on this.
Led to driving all over the towns in Florida. But, you know, you take a car like that that you put so much time and money into, and then drive 24 hours down to Florida, and you back the car. It's a blessing that you're still here, you have all your limbs and everything, and you have a car that has proper safety in it as well. Now, there are people who have this thing and say a street car should not have cages, right?
I've seen those comments.
Yeah, so, you know, no one's gonna force anybody to go out and, you know, put safety equipment in their car, but it is recommended. What is your take on safety, since that accident was a big deal?
I mean, all I can say, like, to start off, obviously, you know, I'm grateful that it did have, you know, the safety equipment. Could I have been more prepared? Yeah, because, like, people know that most people knew, like, I didn't have a helmet. I had everything else.
I saw that, yeah.
I didn't have a helmet on. In a way, this is debatable. I mean, one can never know for sure, but based off of, you know, me and the way the car turned out,
yeah.
If I had a helmet, the way I sat in the car with the helmet was very close to the roof. And if you look back in the photos or videos, the roof actually caved in because I had a 10-point cage. So I didn't have like a 25.5 or something where it has the fun, you know, the fun car cage or the halo, whatever you want to call it. So in that driver's section, in between the two bars, you know, the center section and the front bar, it actually caved in. So had I been higher up with the helmet, you know, it could have, someone had mentioned it could have possibly tweaked my neck. It could have been a different outcome. Again, this is all hearsay. I mean, we don't know for sure because we only know the outcome I had. But regardless, you know, I would say the helmet was the one thing that I lacked, so to speak. But as anyone knows that races on the street, now you see it more, but back in the day, you would never hear anyone put on a helmet on the street.
Yeah.
You just, you know, most people wouldn't even, most tracks didn't even require a helmet up until I think like faster than a 12-second pass. Certain tracks, I remember racing, going down the track without even a helmet because it just wasn't required because you weren't going that fast. So like, again, you know, using that into the street, no one on the street really wore a helmet. Now you'll see it, people are, you know, obviously taking it a little bit more serious and they'll suit up and put on the helmet, but I personally did not have a helmet. So the safety equipment that I did have in the car was in the car itself. So again, thankfully it did have a 10-point cage and it was built properly.
Okay.
You know, I always say it, shout out to KG Fabrications. He did the cage on that car and, you know, I was very grateful after the fact that
Just that.
Do it back.
No, it's fun.
Come back soon.
If you insist.
You know you come back more than one at a time.
I was just working up the courage to ask you out.
There was before you. And there was during you. I never thought there would be an after you.
This court sentences you to 7 years incarceration.
Do you happen to be hiring?
No, we can't take folks with their evidence.
What's your trauma?
I can't get a job because I just got out of prison. Shit, you win. You me. The hell turned this bookstore into a bar.
I do.
Do you guys need help?
Do you know how to wash dishes?
7 years experience.
Okay. Not gonna ask you to expand on that.
Hey, how's it going with her?
I'm not here to see you. I need to see my daughter.
You're hurt. Go. Scotty was my best friend. When he died, we all came together and raised his little girl.
How dare she just show up?
If it wasn't for her, our son would still be alive.
Coming back was a mistake.
I want to meet the human that Scotty and I made. Why are you here? Scotty, this is so much worse. We can't.
Well, I just hope you do the right thing. And what's the right thing?
No. I just hope you do it.
You've all been wrong about her. You've taken the worst moment of her life and made it into who she is.
He made me.
I thought from hating you, I wanted the whole world for you.
I should probably go.
You should probably stay.
personally, you know, messaged him and thanked him for, you know,
Yeah.
doing a proper job because, trust me, I'm sure you've probably seen it. You research it, you'll see it. There are cages and then there are cages. And what I mean by that is you can have a cage in the car, but it doesn't mean that it's done properly or welded properly or penetrated properly. There's a lot that goes into it that, you know, someone is just thinking, oh yeah, I put a cage in my car, I'm good. I've seen accidents and I've seen stuff where the car had a cage and it just ripped right off the weld, right off the chassis. It's like the cage wasn't even there, it was non-existent. So, you know, you do gotta be careful who you go to. It's not, just because someone advertises that they do cages doesn't mean they do it properly or have the experience in meeting the NHRA, you know, specs the way it needs to be. But anyway, you know, that cage definitely played a huge role. It did take an impact, there's no doubt about it. You look at videos and pictures that I posted, it took a mean hit from a couple of trees that I hit, but you know, had that cage not have been there, even on the street, because I've seen comments on your videos, you know, a cage wouldn't have saved, you know, wouldn't have saved them or something. No one really truly knows.
Right.
However, I am a firm believer that, you know, having the cage and the proper equipment in the car is minimizing the risk of what has happened that you've seen. You know, and so of course there's certain situations, just like when you're trying to compare it, there are some people saying that, like, you know, wear your seatbelt, but there's been incidents where people are trapped in a seatbelt, can't get out, and they die from that.
Well, guys, this got to be boring. I'm just doing research right now. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the live, especially this early in the morning. I do appreciate everybody that's watched and everything. I really do. But I'm gonna end it here. Probably go in, get warm, and but appreciate everybody for joining. If you would, just check out my TikTok and check out Shadow13Customs.com and Shadow13 Customs YouTube page. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.